Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another series on InRange TV. We are, of course, out at the two-gun action challenge match, and this is not Carl. Where is Carl?
He's off getting fitted for his wetware to directly tie into the internet to better deal with all the YouTube comments.
I have recruited Russell Phagan here, Sinistral Rifleman, to do the match with me, and somehow we managed to convince you to use a 308 Israeli FAL for this match. Are you tired of winning? Why would you use this?
It's definitely the most uncompetitive set of equipment I've ever used at two-gun action challenge match. I like suffering. That's why I do things like Desert Brutality and this. So, you know, you can only win so often. Got to go back to basics and then appreciate your more modern equipment sometimes.
That is very true. So this is one of the parts kit Israeli FALs that's being built and sold by DSA. I have done some shooting with this. It's pretty cool. I do have it zeroed. I do have the gas system set up properly, so it should work for both of us here today. And then I went ahead and did the whole on Israeli thing. We've got this actually French lizard camo, which the Israelis bought a lot of surplus of. Israeli steel pot. I've got an Israeli high power for my pistol for today's match, which you are not shooting. You have...
the SIG 226 that I used at Desert Brutality and Classic Division. I did look, the Israelis used a number of SIG 226s, so it felt appropriate.
Yeah. So, and then we got some FAL mags, some other mags, and I think we're good to go.
And I have not shot that at all, so my first round fired are going to be on the clock.
You haven't even dry fired it yet, have you?
No, I'll probably dry fire it a couple times and look at the sight picture before we start the stage, but we'll see where it actually hits for me on the clock.
Dry firing before you shoot a match. That's serious gamer territory right there.
Definitely a gamer. Definitely a gamer wearing armor in a division that doesn't require it today, too.
All right, well, let's get started.
Shooter starts standing in the start box. A magazine of 5 rounds held in his hand. His rifle will be staged unloaded at the VTAC barricade. All magazines the shooter wishes to use on the stage will be staged in the start box. No magazines are allowed on the shooter's person. Procedure: at the buzzer, the shooter will move through the Cooper tunnel and retrieve his rifle. He will then engage the steel target through each of the 6 designated ports. When the rifle runs dry, the shooter will ground the rifle and return to the start box via the Cooper tunnel, retrieve 1 additional magazine, and return to his rifle through the Cooper tunnel. Anything less than 6 hits will count as a miss. Knocking a stick off the Cooper tunnel will be a 5-second penalty per instance. The sticks will be replaced if knocked down. Bringing more than 1 magazine through the Cooper tunnel time will result in a 60-second penalty, 120-second par time.
Hell yeah!
All right, so that's got to be the first time you shot a 308 FAL, or any FAL, in quite some time.
I think the last time I shot a 308 FAL was at some machine gun shooting thing like 18 years ago. We were just dumping mags, so not really a constructive review of the rifle doing it that way.
You still managed to beat me.
Yes, I did.
Not by much, but 68 to 70.
I think my engagement sequence on the ports was a little more efficient.
I think if we go back and look at it, probably you are much faster to take a shot once you're getting a sight picture. I feel like I took a long time trying to get, I really didn't want to have to make any second shots on targets. And so I spent what felt like a lot of time getting a perfect sight picture and a really good trigger press, and I think you probably did that substantially faster.
Yeah, I dry fired it a few times in the safety area before we started the stage. I noticed the trigger's kind of like breaking a pencil.
That's good, right?
Yeah, that's like what, maybe about 9 to 10 pounds in that trigger?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little lighter.
When you're used to like 3.5 to 4 pound triggers, it's substantial. But
you've been totally spoiled, which kind of brings up something else. You've been spoiled by the dust resiliency of your AR as well.
Right, you know, and we use ARs in the same stages out here, and you can dump them down in the loose dirt, gravel, and they're pretty resilient against getting anything inside of them. But with the FAL and the magazine, while being so close to the action, on the first run through where I had malfunctions with that magazine, it acted as a trough to scoop up all the dirt, and you'll hear me if we do that run on video. I guess we're doing a rock test now. Had to shake it out. So
we should tell people you did this run twice, because the first time you had reliability problems that turned out to be the magazine. In fact, if you watch my run, I actually have to use the forward assist on this for the first round. It was that same magazine, and that's the same problem that you encountered. I only had one shot with it, and then I was done. You had to make a second shot with it, and that magazine just didn't cooperate. So we have ixnayed that magazine, and then the gun ran fine. So you did get some dirt in it, but I don't think that dirt was actually the cause of any problem.
I don't think it was either. If it was the dirt, it would have been on me for causing the problem, but
this is true.
Borrowing equipment, and for the sake of objectivity, testing the rifle, we did a second run through.
Yeah. So, what do you think?
As far as 308s go, the FAL shoots very softly when it's tuned to the ammunition you're using. When you feel a FAL that's like recoiling too hard, it's because they got it cranked up to just shoot whatever garbage they got through it. But if you dial it to the ammo you have, it actually shoots fairly soft.
And that's what I did on this one. I opened it up a little past where it's strictly necessary to ensure that should someone dump it in the sand, it will continue to run. But yeah, the sights are nicely zeroed on it at this point.
And the sight picture isn't that foreign to someone familiar with using ARs. It's very similar.
This is kind of a nose to charging handle aperture sight kind of deal. It is interesting to point out this is a higher rear sight and front sight than later iterations of the FAL. This particular one, the Israelis were some of the very first people to actually buy the FAL, and their guns have some early features like these taller sights.
Now, how do you run the charging handle on it? Because I was doing like the kind of roll it over and do it, or sometimes reach under and do it.
I reach under, but you've got a manual mag release or a bolt release right here. I can reach from a firing grip with my middle finger. So I think I did that on my first mag, and then the second one I racked it.
I don't think I didn't use the bolt release. And that's something to keep in mind if you're working around, like picking up any gun and using it. Running the bolt's never wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you're training to use other people's stuff, like a common manual of arms, you just run the bolt, regardless of what you're doing when you're reloading.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to our next stage.